Grandma Miriam came for a visit, and we went to a restaurant for dinner. I had to sit between my grandmother and younger sister Clara as we drove there. They both looked annoyed and glared at me. It's so cramped in here. Move, Brooke. It seems someone has been overeating. Oh, I'd had it with them. I wasn't as slim as everyone else in my family. I was adopted when I was 7. Those are my adoptive parents, my spoiled younger sister Clara and Grandma Miriam, who had never liked me. And that's me, Brooke. I used to live in suburban Boston. That's where the orphanage I was left at as an infant was. I didn't know anything about my biological mother, but my father had often visited me. Unfortunately, he was too young and poor to raise a child. Baby, as soon as I get back on my feet, I will buy a big house for us and take you away from here. I believed him and waited for better days, but they didn't come. Dad started coming less and less and looked sad and tired every time. But one day, he said that all our dreams would soon come true. See that huge business center? It belongs to a large company, Boston Dynamics. They hired me. I'm going to earn a lot of money soon. Yay! I was over the moon because I believed that Dad would finally take me home. However, that was the last time Dad came to see me. I thought he got rich and forgot all about me. So I was pissed off at him. This photograph was all I had to remember him by. Then, one day, a smiling woman came to the orphanage. Brooke, look how pretty you are. I want to adopt you. That's how I met my new family. I was a very cute child, so it wasn't surprising my adoptive parents chose me. They brought me to Boston, where I met my adoptive younger sister. Clara didn't want to share her parents' attention. Mom, look, I'm a real princess. Wait a minute, honey, I'm braiding your sister's hair. She's not my sister. I don't know her. Clara was so mad she threw away all my toys. Our parents loved us equally, but my grandmother Miriam always took my sister's side. Look at all these delicious cakes. They're all for my dear granddaughter Clara. Sorry, Brooke, I didn't bring anything for you. As I got older, I started to gain weight, and my adoptive family began to treat me worse. My mother was extremely worried about my figure. She kept trying to put me on a diet. That day at the restaurant, they were enjoying all sorts of delicious food in the restaurant while I was only allowed to eat salad. Brooke, you need to watch your figure. Oh, come on! I only ate vegetables. I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, I saw that my family was taking selfies without me. I felt so alone. In the evening, Clara smirked at me. Mom and Dad are already saving up money for my college tuition because I'm their real daughter. They don't care about you at all. I didn't believe her. I knew that there were 2 piggy banks in our parents' study, one with my name on it and the other with my sister's. I sneaked in there and saw that Clara's piggy bank was stuffed with bills. However, in mine, there were only spiders. I realized that I truly wasn't part of their family when I accidentally overheard my mom talking to Grandma Miriam. I regret adopting Brooke. That was the last straw for me. I ran to my room in tears. I kept a picture of my real dad under my pillow. He was also chubby and definitely wouldn't judge me for my weight. Could I find him? At first, I tried searching on social media, but couldn't find a Stan Rogers that looked like my dad. That's when I remembered Dad was hired by the Boston Dynamics company before he left me. They would help me, I was sure of it. It's time for a little trip, Brooke. I packed my things and Dad's photo and sneaked outside. I took the bus to the suburbs, where the company's office was located and where I used to live. Wow, everything here looks the same. I called a taxi and arrived at the company's office. The security guard didn't want to let me in for a long time. When I finally managed to get into the building, I found the director's office and confidently walked in. Kids can't come in here. I'm just looking for my dad. His name is Stan Rogers. Here's a picture of him. The man looked at the photo, disinterested, typed his name into the computer, and said that they did not have and had never had an employee by that name. What? Did Dad lie about being hired? What was I supposed to do now? I didn't have a backup plan. I had almost no money left, and I wandered aimlessly around the city. My stomach was growling, it was getting dark, and I had nowhere to go. I found a diner, sat down at a table, and spent the last of my money on hot chocolate. As I drank it, I sadly looked at the photo of my father. Where am I supposed to look for you now? I was beginning to think that I would have to go home, but then the diner owner walked past me and looked at the photo with interest. He looks familiar. Of course, it's Stan Rogers. Do you know my dad? He worked as a dishwasher here for years. A dishwasher? Oh, Dad must have felt embarrassed about his job and lied about working for Boston Dynamics. My mom started calling me. Oh, had they realized I'd run away? I couldn't stop now that I had a lead, so I declined the call and texted my mom that I wouldn't come back because they were better off without me. And then I asked the diner owner if she knew where I could find Stan Rogers. For some reason, the look she gave me was very sad. I do, honey. Let's go. I'll take you there. The woman seemed sad, but I was over the moon. I could barely believe I got so lucky. We got into her car and drove to... Oh no! No freaking way! We arrived at a cemetery! And then the woman led me to a tombstone. I'm really sorry, honey, but Stan Rogers has been gone for a while now. I couldn't believe my eyes! I fell over in shock, buried my face in the woman's shoulders, and burst out crying like a baby. Now I knew why Dad had stopped visiting me. I had been mad at him for years because I thought he had forgotten about me. But he was gone. There, stop crying. You don't understand. I'm all alone. I don't have anyone. What about Stan's parents, though? Your grandparents? What? Now that I had thought about it, she was right. The woman told me that my relatives didn't live far, and then she even gave me a ride to their house. I walked up to their porch and knocked on their door, excited. A lovely old couple opened it. Who are you, girl? I'm sorry for coming so late. Maybe you should sit down for this. I'm your granddaughter. My name is Brooke. I showed them the photo of my father and told them that I lived in the local orphanage until I was 7, and he used to visit me. They gasped and looked at each other, dumbfounded. Yes, this is our Stan! They invited me in and showed me the room where my dad used to live. It was so exciting. We haven't touched anything here since he moved out. And then we talked late into the night. I found out that my grandparents hadn't even known I existed. They also told me about my dad. He was a good boy, but a little clueless. He dropped out of school and couldn't find a good job. And one day, he started dating a girl from a rich family. Her parents wouldn't let them get married. They took their daughter away to a big city to keep them apart. Could that be my real mom? Dad had never told me anything about her. I didn't even know her name. I asked my grandparents to tell me more about that girl, but they just shrugged and said that they didn't know how to find her and didn't even remember her name. We are old, and our memory is not what it used to be. So many years have passed. I sighed and asked them what happened to Dad. It turned out that he had had poor health. He worked a lot and did not follow his doctor's recommendations. I suddenly remembered that he hadn't looked good the last time I saw him. I felt gutted. My grandparents noticed it and changed the subject. They started asking me about my life. I didn't tell them I'd run away from home and just said I was adopted by a family from Boston and showed them photos of them on my phone. This is my adoptive sister, and this is my mom. I always felt like a stranger living with them, so I wanted to find my real parents. My grandparents looked at the photos and then suddenly said that it was time for them to go to bed. Stay with us for a while. You can take Stan's old room. I was very grateful for the invitation. After all, I didn't want to go back to the people who didn't want me. I finally found my real relatives. A few days passed. I stayed with my grandparents and helped them around the house. In the evenings, we played Monopoly or drank lemonade on the porch. During that time, we grew close and became a real family. After Stan died, we felt so empty. But now you're here, Brooke, and you filled the void he left behind. We are so happy we have a granddaughter now. I loved living with them too. So I kept ignoring the calls and messages from my mom. My grandparents didn't know that I had run away from home or that my adoptive family was probably looking for me. After all, it would have upset them. But the truth couldn't stay hidden forever. One day, we went shopping, and I saw milk packages with photos of me and the words, "Help us find her," on them. Oh no, my grandparents couldn't see that. I grabbed their hands and dragged them to another department. Let's go here. Help me choose an, air freshener. But we need to buy milk. It's all spoiled. I'll buy some tomorrow. Phew. I hope they hadn't noticed anything. In the evening, I watered my grandma's flowers and decided to check my social media. However, I couldn't find my phone anywhere. I started rummaging through the drawers in Dad's room and suddenly saw a piece of a photograph. A man and a woman were hugging each other in it. Their faces had for some reason been cropped out, but I was sure those were my mom and dad. Oh, I wished I could see my real mom's face. I put the picture in my pocket and decided to ask my grandmother if she had seen my phone. She was talking on the phone with her back to me, so she didn't see me walk into the room. Brooke is here. I know you're looking for her. You can come get her. Wait, was she talking about me? What was she up to? I took a closer look at my grandma and realized it was my phone she was holding. After finishing the call, Grandma turned to me. Oh, Brooke, you scared me. I'm sorry I took your phone without permission. She reluctantly handed over my phone. I nervously opened my calls and saw that Grandma had been talking to my adoptive mom. Heck, Grandma and Grandpa had found out the truth after all. But the worst thing was that they didn't want me either and decided to get rid of me. I thought you were different, but you don't care about me either. I ran into my room in tears and started to frantically pack up. If my adoptive mom was coming to get me, then I had to get out of there as soon as possible. I pulled my clothes out of the closet and a piece of paper fell out with them. I quickly unfolded and read it. It was a love letter my real mom had sent Dad. Dear Stan, my parents took me to Boston. Look after our girl. One day we will see each other again. No way! My real mom had been living in the same city as me this whole time! I finally knew where to look for her. I grabbed my things and ran outside. My grandparents tried to stop me, but I didn't listen to them. I'd had it with traitors. It was late, but I was hoping to catch the last bus to the city. However, it departed from the stop right in front of my eyes. Ugh, why was I so unlucky? But I was too determined to let that stop me. I decided to walk in the dark instead of going back to my fake relatives who smiled to my face and dreamed I would disappear from their lives behind my back. However, soon, my resolve began to crack. It was completely dark. On top of that, it started to rain, and there wasn't a soul around. It was creepy. I was blinded by the headlights of an oncoming car and froze. The car stopped, and my adoptive mom got out of it, shaking with fear. Brooke, I was worried sick. Oh, thank goodness I found you. Hurry up and get in the car. Not for the world. I know you don't love me. I'm going to find my real mom. I took the picture of my parents and shook it in front of her face. My adoptive mom suddenly burst into tears. Brooke, you silly girl. I am your biological mother. I froze in confusion. What was she talking about? Mom pulled out 2 heart-shaped lockets out of her pocket and asked me to open them. Inside one of them, I saw a picture of Dad. And inside the other, a photo of my adoptive mom in her youth. I was so confused. Then I looked at the photo I'd brought with me again. That's why the faces had been cut out of it. Then another car drove up to us, and I saw my grandparents. They had got worried and went looking for me too. We hid from the rain to talk about everything. Sweetie, when you were born, Stan and I were so young. Our parents were against our marriage. They wanted us to finish college and find jobs first. That's why they insisted that we leave you at an orphanage. I was taken away to Boston, and Stan stayed here and visited you. But unfortunately, he got sick soon. I still keep these lockets though. I never stopped thinking about you, not for a minute. Then, she told me that she soon met a man, married him, and Clara was born. They adopted me after buying a big house. I should have told you the truth, but I was so ashamed of everything I've done. And then, she told me that she wasn't saving up money for my college tuition because she was sure that I would get a scholarship. After all, I was doing great at school. She was also trying to put me on a diet because she was afraid that I might get sick like my biological father. But I heard you telling Grandma Miriam you regretted adopting me. Of course I did. I should have never left you at an orphanage in the first place. I'm sorry. So that's why Grandma Miriam didn't like me. She was the one who made my mom give up her newborn daughter. We're sorry too. Of course we knew that we had a granddaughter. Back then, we forbade our children from getting married and raising you. But when you showed up on our doorstep, we realized how wrong we had been. After all, you are such a wonderful girl. Grandma and Grandpa had seen my mom in the photo I'd shown them on my phone and realized that I had been living with my real mom that whole time. I was happy that we finally cleared everything up. To be honest, it took me a long time to forgive them. Adults are often afraid that their children wouldn't understand that they are doing some bad things out of love. But imagine how many problems could have been avoided if they hadn't hidden anything from me. That's how I found out that I had a real family. It took some time, but we all made up, and now I often visit my grandparents. However, Clara and Grandma Miriam still refuse to accept me and don't think of me as family. Do you think I should keep trying to win them over?